So Foxcatcher, which is based on a true life story, which I have to say I didn't know anything about before I saw the film. Did you?
No, which is one of the strengths of the movie.
Okay, so basically when we talk about this now, I will be talking around the subject to some extent. I've read some reviews, which, I mean, I know it's a historical thing, but my suggestion to you would be not...
Most people don't know this story.
Don't Google the story in advance. So essentially, it is the story of this strange millionaire character, John Dupont, who's played by Steve Carell. I was 10 minutes into the film before I realised it was Steve Carell. Again, that's not like to happen now because everyone knows that Steve Carell's getting all this awards. I knew he was in the film. I was watching it for 10 minutes before I realised that was Steve Carell. And he plays this multi-millionaire who has an obsession with wrestling. And what he wants to do is to bring the Schultz brothers to his Foxcatcher farm in Pennsylvania, where he will become...
And they are Olympic wrestlers.
Olympic wrestlers. And where he will become, mentor and coach and father figure to what he wants to do, which is to create this world-beating Olympic team that will compete under the name Team Foxcatcher. Here is a clip of Steve Carell talking to Mark Schultz, played by Channing Tatum, and you get a sense of the strangeness of the relationship.
Without your brother, you can do anything that you choose to set your mind to.
Mr. DuPont, I need you to know that I'm so grateful for what you've done for me.
Well, first of all, I don't want you to call me Mr. DuPont or Sir anymore. I consider us friends, and most of my friends will call me Eagle or Golden Eagle. So either of those will work.
Okay.
Now, in that,
that's
the
weirdest moment.
It is. It's such a strange moment because, as you know, you're listening to it, then you laugh, and yet when you're watching it, it's that moment. It's funny, creepy. But it's deeply creepy. Mm-hmm. The whole film has this chilly, wintry, autumnal sense of something bad coming. I mean, the family estate is in Pennsylvania, and the whole film seems to take place under these sort of brooding skies. It has, just in the way Bennett Miller, who's the director, who's directed the past Capote and Moneyball, regularly gets kind of career best performances from his actors. Interesting, of course, because he's dealt with real life material before, and in the case of Foxcatcher, there are certain liberties taken, certainly in terms of the time frame, which is skewed and compressed. And but what he manages to do is, as he did with Moneyball to some extent, to make a film about sport that isn't really about sport. It's about power. It's about the way in which power is used. In fact, essentially what you have is firstly a class battle between immense privilege and isolation, and then on the one hand, on the other hand, a sort of working class culture, people who are sort of working in this sport which John DuPont desperately wants to be a part of. You have a whole underlying thing about the fact that beneath the sport it is a business thing. Yes, the Schultzes want to win gold, but they also need to earn a living, and in order to do that they're going to have to bury certain reservations they have about John DuPont. John DuPont himself is this character who is portrayed as he has this incredibly overbearing horsey mother, played by Vanessa Redgrave, who thinks that wrestling is a lowly sport. She's fascinated by the sport of kings, by horses, and so you get this sense of him being this. At one point, he reveals that his mother had actually hired a friend for him as a child, which is kind of a really telling moment. And the drama plays out as this strange relationship between this central trio. What I think works really well about it, as with his previous works, is a lot of it is to do with physicality. It's absolutely true that whereas DuPont talks, the Schultz brothers, their communication is much more physical. There is a wrestling sequence earlier on in which huge amounts are said without any words being used. I saw occasionally in that strange Steve Carell performance, echoes of Philip Seymour Hoffman's extraordinarily mannered Truman Capote. Again, it's a story of somebody who has this, erudite, cultured way with words, having an apparently honourable mentorship of somebody which in fact reveals deep-seated anxieties about the central character. It's very dark. It's, I think, very intelligent. It is not without controversy, as I'm sure you'll know.
And too long.
Oh, you thought?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't think that, but that's interesting to hear. But I thought it was a very fine and impressive piece. And I would advise you, if you don't know in advance about the story, don't find out about it.